Donald Trump is back in New York. He's in Trump Tower, and the next 24 hours is going to be a circus and absolutely make history, something none of us have ever seen before. We've taken you through the timeline, what might happen. But let's go live now to New York. Former Assistant Attorney General and Executive Partner at KBKM Law, Adam Kaufmann. Adam, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Wow, I don't even really know where to start here, but there's so much speculation at the moment. Take us through what we know as fact.
That's a great place to start, Lauren. Thank you for having me. We're not really sure. There's so much reporting on it right now, but the fact is that we know that Donald Trump has been indicted by a grand jury. We know that the Manhattan District Attorney's Office will be unsealing an indictment in court tomorrow. We know that Mr. Trump will be arraigned on an indictment charging, we've been told, some 30-odd felony charges. And we've heard, although we don't actually know, that the case involves the falsification of the records, as I understand it, the falsification of the business records of the Trump organization. And so every time Mr. Trump, as we think is alleged, made a false entry in those books and records, it is another count of falsifying books and records. But we don't really know exactly what's going to be in the indictment. And I think to some extent that will be the big unveiling tomorrow. Yeah, it certainly will. Among other things, mugshot, fingerprints, then an address to the nation. We spoke to Mick Mulvaney before, and he raised the spectre of potential gag order, how that all fits into things. But on what we do know so far, and as we mentioned, a lot of it is speculation. We'll all find out tomorrow at the same time, really, Donald Trump does. But on what we do know, is this a tenuous case for Bragg to pursue? Do you suspect that there is another charge, more evidence than what has been speculated upon? So, there was a long-term investigation conducted by Mr. Bragg's predecessor, Cyrus Vance, and Mr. Vance left office at the end of the year and left that case open. In sort of a very public circumstance, the lead prosecutors who were running that investigation had meetings with Mr. Bragg, and they resigned. And one of them, Mark Pomerantz, did so quite publicly and has been very vocal in his criticism of the case that Mr. Bragg did not pursue or is not pursuing. And so there is some speculation as to whether any aspects of that longer investigation will surface within this indictment. So we just don't know, but that's certainly an area of speculation that we're looking at. The case, if it's the falsification relating to, so what we're talking about is that Mr. Trump allegedly had an affair with an adult film star, and then through his attorney, Michael Cohen, it is alleged that he made payments of hush money. Now, of course, it's not illegal to have an affair with a porn star, and it's not illegal to pay hush money. But so you've sort of got the challenge of some conduct that is not in and of itself illegal, and then why was he falsifying these records? As we understand it, the district attorney's theory is that it was done because he didn't want to have this negative information impact the campaign. And that's a theory. Another defense might be that he didn't want his wife and young son to know. And so the case is going to have certainly its challenges if in fact it's just the hush payments and the cover up of the hush payments. Yeah, okay, a lot to pick through. So if you were Alvin Bragg, would you have done this on the available evidence? I'm concerned, for me, as I think about it, if you're going to indict a former president, it should be for something substantially, I'm going to use the word bad. It should be for something serious. And to me, if all we have are sort of these hush payments, it feels a little bit more like a technical foul than a harmful foul. And so, you sort of have to question whether, I don't know if I would have brought that particular case.
So what you're saying is right guy, wrong charge.
He's done a lot of things that a lot of people have been taking a look at him for. So that might be a fair way to put it.
Okay, so what happens tomorrow? Give us a bit of the idea of the process here. So he'll submit himself, he'll surrender. Essentially, he will get a mugshot. Is that standard practice? Could that not happen?
No, that has to happen. So I think what will happen is he'll show up. The district attorney's office is in the same building as the criminal court building. So Mr. Trump will show up early with his lawyer and presumably his Secret Service escort. They'll go inside the building down on Center Street in Lower Manhattan. He will be brought to the in-house detective squad within the district attorney's office. He'll be fingerprinted, he'll be photographed, and I imagine he'll be treated in a very gentle way. He will not be put into a common holding cell or anything like that. And none of that is so unusual for a high-profile white-collar defendant. It's pretty common when someone surrenders that is how they're treated. It's going to take a good part of the day. That's why he gets there so early, because there's a whole bureaucratic process that has to be followed, and the prints need to be registered. And so then they have to get the complaint filed and in front of the court. So there's a whole process that has to go on. But I would think they'll probably rush it quite a bit. So I would think by 11 o'clock or so, they should be, walking Mr. Trump down to the courthouse to be presented to the judge, where he'll be arraigned on the felony indictment. And
there's no chance that will be televised at this point?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I have no idea, but I think.
But it's not standard practice. I mean, nothing's standard about what's going on here, but it's not standard practice.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's all crazy. We're in uncharted waters, but I know the courthouse.
Can I just ask you about that, Adam? Because as someone who I imagine has committed much of his life to the law, how do you feel about what's going on there?
I think that there's so many. I really, really want to see the indictment. I mean, I was a prosecutor for 18 years. I've been in private practice as a defense lawyer for 10 years. So I spent a good part of my life in the law. And I am comfortable with the fact that no one is above the law. And so that part of it, to me, I feel good about. But, I really do want to see what these charges are, to see if this is the type of case that is appropriately brought against a former president of the United States.
Yeah. And what about this spectre of a gag order? Would you think Alvin Bragg would pursue that? Do you think the judge himself might?
I didn't see that. I didn't see whatever the comment was about a gag order. I would imagine that the judge will caution the parties to be circumspect in what they have to say, but I wouldn't think there would be a gag order until someone shows that he needs to have a gag order.
Yeah. It might just very well play into Trump's hands anyway. It goes back to Florida, the gag order in New York. It doesn't matter to him, and if he doesn't go back to New York, he probably wouldn't mind, would he?
Well, except that he's going to have to come back to New York because New York now has a case against him, and he'll be in front of a judge who may have issued a gag order, and he certainly doesn't want to find himself in contempt of court before that judge.
Well, from sitting where I am at the moment in Australia, it all looks pretty crazy at the moment, Adam. So thanks so much for talking us through the next 24 hours, and good luck there in New York.
Well, I think we might need it. Thanks, Lauren.
Adam Kaufmann there. He is executive partner at LBKM Law.